Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry Construction Group webinar. I would like to announce that we will try to have more people join us. So we want to give like 5 more minutes to allow for more participation and more participants to come on board. Once again, on behalf of the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to welcome you to this webinar. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Once again, thank you for being part of this webinar. Thank you, sir.
As a corporate entity in today's fast-paced and ever-changing environment, being part of a good network of business professionals and thought leaders is all you need to take your business to the next level. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry (LCCI), we guarantee the promotion of trade, sound business ethic, and public policy advocacy that will help your business succeed. Founded in 1888 and with over 2,500 corporate members, we offer the best networking platform for business and profitability. Come talk to us today on how to become a member of the foremost Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. For more information, please visit our corporate headquarters at Commerce House, 1 Idowu Taylor Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, or visit our website on www.lagoschamber.com to learn more. LCCI, giving your business a voice.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, my name is Shegun Alabi. I'm your anchor for this event. On behalf of the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to welcome you warmly to this webinar organized by the Construction Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And the webinar has been titled Opportunities in Construction and Engineering Industry, Private Sector Perspectives. It's my pleasure to welcome the chairman of the group in the person of Engineer Fumi Banjoko. Good to have you, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Chairman.
Sir, could you please unmute yourself? You are muted.
I said, thank you very much, Shegun and Dr. Shegun Alabi, and all our participants. Thank you for coming. God bless you all. I hope we'll have an awesome time today.
Thank you very much, sir. Also, we have the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Toki Mabugunje, who today is ably represented by the vice president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in the person of engineer Leye Kupolui. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for doing a good job.
Thank you, sir. Also, we have today the person of Engineer M.O. Aminu, Deputy Chairman of the Construction and Engineering Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good to have you, Engineer Aminu. Today as well, we have our speakers and panelists. We'll be having presentation by QS Obafemi Onoshile, Consul Associates Limited. Good to have you, sir.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me.
Also, we have another eminent speaker today, Architect Olusegun Ladega, Interstate Architects Limited. You're welcome, sir. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Olusegun Ladega. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Also, we have today Engineer Nasio Dantata. Good to have you, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Alabi. Everyone, good morning.
Thank you, sir. This morning, without much ado and without wasting your time, it's my pleasure to welcome the host of today's webinar in the person of the chairman of the Construction and Engineering Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in the person of Engineer Fumi Banjoko, to please give the opening remarks.
Good morning, Shegun. Are we right on that program? Or is the president, I think it's the president's remarks first. Good morning, Shegun.
Good morning. I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
I think normally we should have the president's remark. She is to welcome us first. Or my guy before.
Okay. Yes. We can have the president first, either ways, but let's have the president like you have said. And I have Engineer Leye Kupolui, who is representing the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Engineer Leye Kupolui, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alabi. Thank you. I have a speech from our president, who's supposed to be here. We all know her interest, especially in technology, engineering, and we know why. She lives and dies with engineers. She's an engineer by herself. She has shown a lot of interest in whatever that goes on in technological world. I hereby present her remark for this occasion. The President, Federation of Construction Industry, Engineer Nasiru A. Dantada, the Managing Partner of Consul Associate, Obafemi Onoshile, our brother, and the Managing Director, Interstate Architect Limited, Architect Olusegun Paul Adetokunbo Ladega. we like to call his initial OPA. And our chairman for Construction and Engineering Group, Engineer Fumi Banjuku. Officers and council members here present, and our Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this gathering organized by the Construction and Engineering Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, with the theme Opportunity in Construction and Engineering Industry, a private sector perspective. It is indeed most heartwarming to specially acknowledge all our guest speakers. We are glad to have you, and we appreciate you for honoring our invitation at this event. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the essence of our gathering is to expose participants to the opportunity in construction and engineering in the Nigerian private sector, which will be immense benefit to local players in the construction industry. It will interest you to know that a similar webinar was held by the group 2 months ago. We focus on public sector. As you may be aware, just like every sector, the construction sector was significantly affected by pandemic-related disruption in the previous year. Despite the enormity of the headwind witnessed in the previous year, the sector demonstrated a resilience in registering a positive growth rate of 2.8% and 1.2% in the third and final quarters of 2020. Irrespective of these are from official data. The construction sector is pivotal to economy of Nigeria and the whole world, indeed, in terms of creating direct and indirect employment opportunity for Nigerian populace, facilitating infrastructure development from road to railway, needed for inclusive and sustainable growth. And lastly, supporting domestic productivity and fostering industrialization. There are a lot of opportunities for private sector stakeholders in construction and rehabilitation of residential and commercial structure. For instance, Nigeria has one of the largest housing deficits in the sub-Saharan Africa region, estimated to be around 20 million units. And this represents massive opportunity for the industry players. However, what is even more important is how industry players can strategically position themselves to take advantage of these opportunities. This is part of what the webinar seeks to address. I congratulate members and I congratulate the chairman and member of construction group of LCCI on the successful hosting of this event. I appreciate our esteemed attendees for their participation, and I enjoy our participants to feel free for the resource person during question and answer session. Thank you for your kind attention. Do have a wonderful celebration. Mrs. Toki Mabogunde, President, LCCI. Thank you. And I say welcome to all my colleagues that are here. This is not from me. you are welcome on board. When the time is, we start talking to each other. Thank you very much, especially our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Vice President, Engineer Leye Kupului. Always a pleasure having you. Next, we would like to have the chairman in the person of Engineer Fumi Banjoko to please give the opening remarks. Engineer Banjoko, over to you, sir.
Well, once again, I wish to welcome all the participants at this program. Most especially, first of all, I wish to thank our able Madam President, represented my previous organ. Engineer Kupului was a chairman, Engineering and Construction Group, just before me. So welcome, sir. Special recognition for you, beyond the president. But I want to say our president is a president of a new era, an era of virtual and online communication, an era where technology, which is mainly dependent on engineering, has transformed and is still rapidly transforming the world. The kind of change and transformation expected and planned, targeted within the next 3 decades, is amazing, almost unimaginable. But rapidly, we are seeing these changes. This meeting is on Zoom. We probably wouldn't have agreed to host this kind of meeting this way about 16 months ago. Indeed, challenges help us to develop and evolve better. Challenges are the bedrock and foundation for opportunities and help us to become better and more resourceful. We are aware that the future of the world is and will heavily be dependent on technology. The world here is already here, with countries dumping fossil fuels and transforming to renewable energy, with artificial intelligence and Internet of Things dominating our activities, driverless vehicles, driverless trains, oxygen in the moon, and so many scientific discoveries which are based on engineering. All these developments will and can only be laid on infrastructures which are engineering based. Whether you call them IT, electronics, or whatever name, they are all and will be engineering and construction based. This looks like going too far. And maybe I seem not to be talking about the real world, Nigeria, that we're in. Yes, I'm starting with our nation. The challenges seem to be enormous, but here lies in the opportunities. The more the challenges, the bigger the opportunities. Most of our infrastructures are decayed or non-existent. The experience and technical know-how of our artisans, the technicians, is not up to date. Funding of infrastructures, innovations seem to be challenging. Again, there lies in the opportunity. My hope and expectation from this program is that the opportunities will be made obvious to us and probably a way to assess them. I trust we will have a way forward based on today's program. I'm aware some of our speakers have traversed Africa and the world, might also know opportunities that can be capitalized on in these climes. I'm aware our financial institutions have expanded beyond our shores, taking deep roots around Africa. Will our engineering and construction and IT firms be able to do the same? If so, how? I want to especially welcome our speakers. Today, maybe by default, some of them are just here. QS Femi Onoshile, who I've known from secondary school over 45 years, though I was not the one that recommended it, is the president of African Association of Quantity Surveyors, having been past president of the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors. So we believe he has vast experience. Architect Ladega has so many projects all around. He's also the first president of Consulting Architects of Nigeria. So yeah, the experience and the challenges they know and they should know. And Engineer Dan Tata of Sawe, Dan Tata and Sawe, beyond being the president of the Federation of Construction Industries, which is a conglomerate or collaboration of the biggest construction companies in Nigeria. So obviously they know the challenges they are facing individually. These people see the challenges across Africa, across Nigeria, and they should be able to tell us. And I'm sure in their designs and all, they're looking at voids we'll be able to fill. They also should be able to tell us things we can rapidly gain. And so I don't see a better set of people who will be able to do justice to us and take the construction industry to the next level. I want to welcome each and every one of you. Please prepare your questions and have a wonderful time. And I hope by the end of this meeting, our companies will be on another level, taking up the challenges, building on the new opportunities. Thank you very much. You're welcome. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Chairman of the LCCI Construction and Engineering Group, Engineer Fumi Banjoko. Thank you very much, sir, once again. Now we are moving to business, the business of the day. And to have the first presentation is no other than Engineer Engineer Nasiru Dantata will be having the first presentation, and is the president of FOCI. And then, Engineer, are you ready, sir?
I am ready. I think I am unmuted now.
Yes. So you have the floor, sir. Thank you very much,
Right.
sir.
Thank you very much for having me. I want to thank the organizers of this event, the president of LCCI and the entire team, my co-speakers and honorable participants. Indeed, it's always a pleasure to speak about our industry, and especially speaking about how to grow the industry in Nigeria. The president's remarks and also the just concluded remarks from the chairman of the construction group highlighted the deficiencies in construction in Nigeria. And I would like to focus my own presentations on what we call the 4 M's of construction. That is I like to always put the manpower first. Some people put money first. So manpower, money, materials, and machineries. And if you look at each one of the 4 M's of construction in Nigeria today, there are vast opportunities and voids to fill. If I borrow the words of our chairman. So if we take the different aspects of construction, first of all, the housing deficit that has been talked about by previous governments and including and also the present administration, we realize there is a vast housing deficit in Nigeria. And also, I would like to always make a comment that part of the housing deficit is also a housing mismatch, because we actually have houses without the right persons to fill them. And in some places, you have the people without the right houses that they can afford. So there is a big mismatch. In terms of luxury housing and so on, I believe that market is flourishing in Nigeria. Despite COVID, a lot of real estate companies are selling homes. Perhaps people are not able to invest in other things. But I know from many of our partners and friends in the housing industry, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, most of the metropolitan areas, there is actually a boom, which has led to shortages of basic materials for construction. If you look at cement in the last 1 to 2 months, the prices in the market has shoot up without the factories actually having to increase their own pricing. So that is exclusively due to supply and demand mismatch. So as well, also the prices of steel, prices of wood and glass and many other construction raw materials, there has been a significant inflation, not necessarily because of foreign exchange and so on, but because of supply shortages. So there are a lot of gaps there that needs to be filled. If we look at the issue of manpower, there is a big mismatch because of lack of trained personnel in Nigeria. As a group, FOSI has just opened up an academy that will be training mainly artisans, that is carpenters, masons, plumbers, and electricians. Because for us in the industry, we all know that we lack trained personnel in Nigeria. A lot of us are having to employ the services of our neighboring countries that have less population, but because they do go through good training. I sit in the Council of Koren, and part of the problem we have with the entire engineering structure in Nigeria is what we refer to as the inverted pyramid. We have too many engineers, technologies, and so on, but not enough artisans that actually are needed in large numbers that are there to execute the job. So as a group, Koren and also as FOSI, we are trying to put back the focus into the basics. We need training centers, we need vocational schools. Of course, we need universities in Nigeria because of our size, but universities and polytechnics for now is not the priority for the construction industry. What we need are trained personnel that will actually be doing the job. Let me move on to the next M, which is money. In terms of financing, I see that the industry has really evolved and is looking at the banking industry and investment, is looking at construction as a viable tool for several investments. Of course, there is a lot of investment in the housing, but with the much infrastructural deficits that we had, we are quite happy in the industry with the introduction of the Sukuk funding of federal roads. This program has run for 3 consecutive years successfully with this administration. And as we speak, they are preparing for the next one. It started with 100 billion year one, 100 billion in the second year. Then it was increased to 162 billion last year. We are waiting to see this year how much will be realized and put to use. And the good thing with this program is that it is always oversubscribed. So federal government will like will come out to say they need 100 billion for so roads. There are actually a lot of Nigerians, private and investors, that have a lot of cash that are willing to put to these programs. So the programs are always oversubscribed and they are always 100% put to use. So as an industry is what we always like to have because it is cash backed. It's not just a normal federal or state budget that is just a number in the budget. This one, before the program starts, the cash is already collected and domiciled with the central bank. So I hope that this program can be expanded to many other projects in terms of infrastructural development. So there is a lot of opportunity for investors, and all we need is to instill confidence that once you put your money for so project, that the project will actually be executed, and your money is safe, because government, of course, is going to refund with the not interest in terms of in case of sukuk, they call it with profit. So that is the issue of money. So there's a lot of opportunity in terms of money. For materials, I already touched on it. There is a lot of shortages that give rise to increasing of pricing. Sometimes you are doing a project, you have to wait a week or longer for something to be imported. In the last few years, there has been a lot of investment in ceramics industries, in plastic industries, that one finds very good locally made materials for construction. And I think the opportunities there are vast for many other players to come in. Then in terms of machinery, we all know that Nigeria does not produce any machinery. The best we do is to do assembly. Now, what has come to being now is that a lot of the world-renowned manufacturers are having their own either dealerships or service centers domiciled in Nigeria because of our size, of course. So I hope that many Nigerians will be the ones to reach out to those people and bring them. We don't have to wait for them to come in and own these service centers and so on. Let us go out there, collaborate with them. We should be the one to put up the resource, the centers, the warehouses, and so on. Then Nigerians will be able to patronize them. As far as the industry is concerned, as a whole, if you take this entire 4 M's of construction, with the deficit in housing, deficit in infrastructure, deficit in technology, what we need then is a better understanding and a better formulation of construction contracts, because many contractors, I speak on behalf of contractors, suffer in the hands of clients, be it government or private, because either contracts are wrongly packaged, or the clauses that guide the relationship are not enforced, especially as regards to government contracts. It's difficult for employers, for contractors to enforce the law. It has not been the case in Nigeria anyway. We feel that contractors are more or less maybe afraid to be branded as those that take their clients to court, and therefore maybe they will be blacklisted and so on. So we need a better understanding and a better arrangement. We must not copy all our contracts from abroad. We have the Association of QS. We have very good lawyers in Nigeria to formulate our own local regulations and to be strictly followed by both parties. This confidence in contracts will also be a driver to get people to invest in construction and also in construction industry. There has been of recent a lot of collaborations between even major, medium, and minor players in the industry. The outsourcing of specific services is now the way to go. 20, 30 years ago, major construction companies in Nigeria do everything for themselves. We have to build labor camps for our workers, be it local or expatriate. We have to own all our machineries. We have to employ all our staff by ourselves, from the cook to the cleaner to the safety officer to the machinery operator to the supervisor to the accountant and everything. We have to own all our plants, be it asphalt plant, be it concrete batching plant, and so on. Now, of recent, especially in the major metropolitan areas, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and Kano, you can easily buy ready-mix concrete to do any job that you have. So such is providing opportunities for Nigerians to be able to have their own organizations access to such facilities without having to own them. Because if you have to own a batching plant, you need to invest, I believe, maybe getting to $1 million or so for a good one. An asphalt plant may be more with the associated facilities around it. But if you know that you can easily access such services, you can go ahead to get a job with that in mind, and you'll be able to execute it. This has been the practice the world over, and it is also becoming the practice now. So now what we also need to do backwards is for government and other employers of construction to review how they give out jobs, how they evaluate potential project execution companies. They need to understand that a company must not own its own plant or machinery once they have the capacity to utilize what is out there. In many places that we work, we don't operate our own quarries, while some companies operating in our own domain or where we have our own quarries, they are utilizing such services. So this collaboration is brought about, of course, by market forces and understanding, and it is working for many of the big players. I believe this will also trickle down to the smaller players. We are using the services of many subcontractors, some of our former staff, some retired, and so on. And when I say our, I mean in the industry, 4C members, not only the company I represent. They have also opened their own companies, and many, we see them growing and doing more and more at a go. I believe
engineer.
around 15 minutes of my time, I will wait
Yes.
for Q&A and also listen to other speakers. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much for rounding off at the nick of time. Thank you, Engineer Dantata, for that presentation. We'll be moving to the next presentation, which will be the presentation to be received from Engineer Obafemi Onoshile of the Consul Associates. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, the MC, Mr. Alabi. Well, my name is QS Obafemi Onoshile, not engineer. However, because we are all in the engineering industry, it's not unusual for us to be called engineers, but really we are quite surveyors and we are into engineering. Good afternoon, everybody. And good afternoon to the organizers and the co-speakers. Engineer Nasir Dantata has spoken very well. I'd tried to meet him before, but I couldn't while I was president of NQS. There were a couple of things I'd wanted to take up together with him, but I'm glad I'm seeing him today. First, I'd like to acknowledge the grace of God on our lives and for making this program today possible. We give all glory to the Almighty God. I'd like to acknowledge in the audience, I saw the name of Ogunfidodo. Ogunfidodo is a past vice president of my institute and also my senior in secondary school, just like Fumi Banjoku. They were both a year ahead of me in Odugbulu. Fido, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mrs. Annette Oke. Annette Oke is a member of the QS Registration Board and some other QSs on the list. I'm happy you guys are joining us. And you can see it's not all about quantity surveying alone. It's all about our industry, all about the economy, all about Nigeria, survival of Nigeria. So thank you all for the interest. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event today. It is quite timely And so I'd like to thank the president for inviting me second time for your event, Mrs. Toki Mabogunje, ably represented by Engineer Leye Kupolui. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here today. What are we talking about? It's opportunities in construction and engineering industry. Construction and engineering industry is very important. The industry is the second most important and contributor to the national economy. The first being the agricultural industry. After agricultural industry is construction and engineering industry. We cannot overemphasize the importance of construction and engineering industry. Judging by the size and by the activities that the industry undertakes. In the industry, we provide comfort for human beings. You want to build your house, you want to live in a house. You want your house to be air conditioned. You want to change your house. Even your vehicles, all are built in factories, in a building, one way or the other. So for comfort of human beings, you cannot remove construction and engineering industry. Yes, the first is food, which is agriculture. Next is agricultural. Next is construction and engineering industry. I'm saying this to underscore the importance of the industry. The industry brings the wheels or oils the wheels of production for an economy. So for your economy to do well, the industry must do well. And as we have been taught in school, and which we know, the construction industry is the best barometer for gauging the status of your economy. If your economy is going down, it's the construction industry, you will see that it's going down first. And if your economy is booming, you will see it from the construction industry first. People building houses, renovating their houses, construction of roads, etc. We all go to Dubai. We all speak about Dubai, Dubai, Dubai. What has made Dubai? It is a construction and engineering that they embarked upon. So we don't mind flying there, paying all whatever we have to pay, just to go and look at the ambience over there, which is from construction and engineering. Why can't we replicate that in Nigeria once we have seen the importance of this industry? Having said this, can I share the screen? Is it possible to share the screen, please? I want to place something on the screen.
Yes, sir, you can, sir. You have the right, sir. You can.
Okay. I believe today we're talking about awareness. Can you see my screen? Is it sharing?
Not yet, sir.
All right. Yep. All right. I scribbled some things I wanted to discuss. Okay. Well, if you can hear my voice, I can talk about it. First, about the industry. Now we know the importance of the industry. I want us to also describe the nature of the industry. When we know the nature, then we can exploit the opportunities in the industry provides for us. So first, the construction industry comprises of wide range of loose integrated organizations that collectively construct, alter, refurbish, and repair building and civil engineering structures. The industry is essentially an assembly industry, assembly on site the products of other industry. The industry is dependent on a wide range of economic factors, and these include the general economic climate, interest rates, rate of inflation, credit availability, and the extent of control of public sector spending. Participation in the construction industry comprises of professional design team members, construction team, specialist installers, and suppliers. The construction industry is involved with two major areas of activity, namely building works and civil engineering works. Construction work is undertaken in both the public and private sectors. Public sector comprises of central government, local government, development corporations, public corporations, whilst private sector comprises of developers, financial institutions, industry and commerce, just like the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, building societies, and individual promoters of building. The public construction projects are usually centered around education, healthcare, leisure, transportation schemes, and social housing, whereas the private sector focuses more on industrial and commercial projects, private homes, and other private business developments, religious projects, water supply, and waste disposal system. Now, having said all this about the nature of the industry, and combined with what my other speaker just said, Engineer Dantata, about the 4 M's, which are the resources of the industry. Having understood the nature, we can now look at the resources needed and where opportunities can be harnessed. If we talk about 1, supply of resources to the players, materials, the private sector can come into providing materials for the industry. For instance, glass manufacturing. And glass is very popular. There's no building without glass. So if you're producing glass, you are short of the market in the industry. Apart from glass, tiles, ceramic tiles. Some companies have now started manufacturing tiles in Nigeria, and tiles are now selling. There's no house, no building without tiles. So if you're producing tiles, you are short of the market. CDK, they're producing tiles now, and everybody's buying CDK tiles. Because if you have to, and CDK tiles are as good as imported tiles. So if you're producing materials for the industry, there is market for you, a short market. Is it wood? Wood processing? You have it. Machines. That's like Engineer Antita said, machines. Well, it's difficult to produce machines. We're not manufacturing machines. But if you go into the business of supplying equipment and machines to the industry, you are short of market. I know some companies, they are logistics companies. They have all sorts of machineries for construction. You get there, you will see. Is it a bulldozer or is it hoist, crane? What have you? If you are into that business, you can be sure that the market is there in our industry. You can rent out, people renting out the bulldozers, even badge. I just rented a badge a couple of weeks ago. And I was amazed that I had to spend, not for me, my client, spending about $500,000 to rent badge a day. The badge doesn't eat. It's not eating anything. You don't need to feed it. Once you bought it, keep it. Somebody will need it and they'll come and rent it. So because we wanted to do some shit piling, we had to go and get the badge and spending $500,000 a day for what the guy probably had since maybe 5-10 years ago. So if you are into hiring of plants for construction, it's a good market for you. So money, about the 4 M's again, money. There's no need overemphasizing the importance of money. If you're providing money for contractors, to lend them money to bridge cash flow, and at a little interest. I know some finance houses giving out loans at 5% per month, and people are patronizing them to get this loan to quickly do some supplies for the construction industry and then pay back the money. So even the person loaning out, now imagine if you are lending money out at 2 or 3%, you'll have more markets because you can, to go to the bank, you'll be taking the loan at about 26, 27% per year, apart from admin charges, etc. So even if it is borrowing money dedicated to the construction industry, you will have patronage. That's another opportunity. I believe we're talking to the private sector people, looking at how they can go into the construction industry and make some money, have opportunities. So that's the essence of today's talk. Now, apart from this is also the expertise. You can bring expertise to the industry. Look for construction companies or even consultants, be their legal advisor. And then you're on a retainership. And if they have certain issues, they can consult you then further, which you bill them for. So as a lawyer, you can have a dedicated unit focused on construction industry. Some lawyers, some legal firms are doing that now, and they're consulting us to guide them and what have you. So for legal, you can. Shipping, if you're a private sector businessman, you're into shipping, you can have a dedicated desk for construction. Talk to construction companies. They will need to make some importations. Is it materials, ceramic tiles and what have you, or aluminum, or what have you? So you can have a dedicated desk for shipping for construction industry. Likewise, clearing their goods for them. Now, so much about the resources, going into resources as opportunities. Let's even talk about the products of the industry. As a private sector businessman, what opportunity are there for you in the construction industry? You can go into PPP infrastructure projects delivery. There's a dearth of specialized contractors who can bid for PPP projects. Bidding for PPP project is not just about construction or engineering. It's about investments. How you read investment figures, projections. Is there any sense in this? Do I go into putting all this business together or this infrastructure delivery together? So I tell you, there's a big lacuna in that PPP industry. I'm a PPP specialist, and I know to call for contractors to bid for PPP project is very difficult because we don't have such specialized investors who can see opportunities in the rough and take opportunity and maximize their opportunities from that. So PPP infrastructure project is another way of exploitation of the industry, of the construction industry by private sector. Maybe I just need to emphasize this again. Supply of specialized services to the industry. Engineer Dante just spoke about training and training of manpower in the industry, bricklayers, etc. You can have a training school and now focus it on training labor force in the construction industry. And I tell you, it's a big business. Lagos State government and some other governments, they're looking for who to partner with in order to train artisans. So if they see you have a good training organization, the state government and federal government will sponsor, put some money down in order for you to train these guys, because once they are trained, they become income generators for the state government and for the federal through taxes. So it's in their interest. And I've seen that happening. So the governments are ready to sponsor training through private sector. Insurance. Some insurance companies say they don't do construction, whereas they are missing it. The size of business, the size of investment in construction industry should give insurance companies concern. They are the best to exploit businesses in construction and engineering industry. So insurance company have taken up construction risk, contractual insurance risk, employers' insurance of staff, goods in transit, all sorts. So insurance businessmen can come into the construction industry. There are opportunities for them. Banking, you can have dedicated desk for construction. I know some big banks who still have that. They used to have and they still have. dedicated desk for financing construction, recruitment, and other HR services. I remember when we're going to employ or engage our first HR consultant, they didn't know much about the construction industry. But when they came in and satisfied us, from us, they've now become so specialized in addressing construction and engineering industry HR needs. And they are cleaning up, they are smiling to the bank. So even HR, human resources, there are opportunities for you in the construction and engineering industry, just to name a few. Now, but we can do better in the industry. Construction and engineering industry can do better. But what is stifling us are, one, external factors, and two, internal factors. Internal factors are called the industry factors. Yes, I'm about finishing. 1 minute, I'm about finishing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Industry factor, we can handle that ourselves. But external factors, we need to come together, not only in the construction industry, but the entire nation. Engineer Dantata mentioned it. He just didn't nail it well on the head. Payments. Governments do not honor payments obligations. And that's a major problem for our industry. When I was president of the NIQS, I tried to bring this bill to the House, the federal House, to pass. It's called security of payment, security of payment or assurance of payment for the industry. If payments in the industries are made as a when due, the industry will boom a lot, and then the whole economy will boom. Next, apart from that law, is also the new procedures. Let us have dedicated high courts for construction industry. When disputes in the industry are quickly resolved, then the industry will boom. Engineer Dantata said contractors don't want to take government or clients to court. It's not because they're afraid. It's because even if you go there for 10 years, you still don't have the justice. So what's the essence of going to court? But if you have better procedures in place. So those are the two major factors I want to talk about. The payment assurances and also dispute resolution in the construction industry. We need to look at it. There must be laws, new laws for this. New laws establishing construction and engineering high courts. They are there in UK. They are there in Hong Kong. They are there in Singapore. And that's why those countries are doing well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, QS Obafemi Onoshile. Thank you very much for that intervention. Next, because our time is fast spent and we want to use the time judiciously, I have the next guest speaker, who is in the person of engineer, architect Olusegun Ladega, Interstate Architects Limited. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, the president of the LCCI, and all the other speakers. My pleasure to be here and to share a few thoughts on the topic of opportunities in the construction industry, construction and engineering industry. I will skip some of the points I have in my presentation, which the other two speakers have raised, so that I'll be able to lay a bit more emphasis on the areas that haven't been mentioned here today. But notwithstanding, I would want to make a few preambles. I have some notes down, and I would put up a screen. I'm going to just quickly run us through what I have there. I hope the screen is visible. It shows some of my notes, but I will rush through. First and foremost, there are some peculiarities about the industry, and that is it's been mentioned by the first two speakers, is the cyclicity that the industry has a reputation for. This simply has to do with the fact that it is affected by the winds of economic forces, which affects the fortunes of the industry, and it has a cyclical effect. It goes with the cycles of the economy. And that means that at times, heavy investments may not be an industry, a sector attractive to heavy investment. However, on the other hand, the entire economy feeds off and is reliant on this industry to keep in motion. As has been mentioned by one of the speakers, it is the industry that oils the economy. I would want to address the issue of opportunities from looking at the following. What are the openings that exist? What are the gaps? What are the needs that are not being met that the industry should be meeting? Are the patrons of the industry being well served, and can they be better served? Is there room for new entrants, and what kind of room exists for new entrants? What are the current and emerging trends that create opportunities? And often new and the current and emerging trends that create opportunity also at times could be a threat to long-established organizations if they choose and remain conservative rather than reform, remodel, and adapt, because the law is adapt or become extinct. And we should not forget that we now live in the world of the digital economy, the world of the information technology, the world, we are in the information age. And this, the digital technology age, has affected several other industries. And whether we like it or not, is going to come into this industry. There are lots of ways that this industry can become more efficient and better equipped to serve and deliver more benefits to our patrons, end users, and the nation at large. Let's look at what are some of the drivers for demand. It's been mentioned, but I would just want to re-emphasize them. And they include the following. Nigeria has a very large population and is still growing, and is estimated, is being projected in certain quarters, but by the year 2050, Nigeria will be the third largest country by population in the world. That is, for me, quite scary. But it also means there's going to be a huge demand for the products and services of the industry. This means that whatever demand we're seeing today is going to be a continuing, and is going to continue to exponentially grow. So if there's an exponential growth in demand for the services and products of the industry, this automatically means there is huge opportunity. Issue now is, how can this industry scale up to be able to meet the demands lockstep with the increase and exponential rise in numbers? Another issue is urbanization. It's being projected that within a few decades from now, 7 out of the 100 largest urban areas in the world will be in Nigeria. 7 out of them will be in Nigeria. That again means there's a huge demand on infrastructure, transportation methods, and of course, housing and other facilities. Now, the issue of financing the deficit has been discussed, but we need to begin to see, how do we address the investment gap? How does this industry draw more finance into it? Or how do we encourage, or how do we get those with the funds to see a way in? Now, what would be some of the factors that discourage? What are some of those factors that discourage investment? Some of them have been mentioned, and these issues must be addressed. they are principally summarized in one bracket: ease of doing business. Goes from obtaining permits to assurance of income, assurance of continuity of policy, and so on and so forth. And these must all be addressed. Now, let me move quickly because I need to want to talk about a number of other important things before my time runs out. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. From the investment gap, the issue of the industry in Nigeria being so heavily import dependent has been raised, has been discussed, and the openings to reduce the level of imports based on the sheer demand and capacity for the consumption of building materials has been demonstrated earlier by Femi. So I will skip that and come to an item in my presentation here that I call the sachet economy. Now, the sachet economy, I'm going to use what an example. If you look at the manufacturing sector, many consumer goods, stuff like toothpaste, coffee, tea, milk, sugar, etc., used to come in certain standardized packages in the past. Then it was realized that for the low-income earners, just buying a whole 4-liter can of oil was an issue. But rather, someone would buy a 4-liter can and begin to decant in smaller quantities for those who need, who would buy on a day need basis. And now we have, throughout our economy, so many products now reduced to sachet size and sold on the streets, and they have become the fast-moving manufactured goods. Now, this mindset can also serve certain needs in the construction and engineering industry. Some of our products and some of the problems that have been identified, especially at the low level, at the low income consumer level, we may need to look at how do we sachetize certain services and goods and products that they can become readily available and can block the gap. It calls for creative thinking, but is already being demonstrated. For instance, I know of a particular manufacturer that is doing so well that they have a long queue just for a long queue of orders. This company I'm talking about, they manufacture paving stones that we now use as a solution for making roads. In some instances, it's necessary. In some areas, it enables a road by a community to be constructed on as cash comes in basis. Ultimately, one day they have a road that is fully motorable. And this company, from my interactions with them, they have a long list that you stay on the queue for about 90 days to receive an order. Now, again, there is a low level of participation in heavy industry in Nigeria and heavy construction. And there's going to be a lot more of that based on our population growth. There's going to be more harbor works. There are going to be more dams built. There are going to be more power stations built. And we have to look at how these are all great opportunities. For now, these seem to be out largely of the hands of the local participants. Yet these are sectors that attract a lot of good money, forex, and we should be able to prepare and grow ourselves to be able to be major participants in these sectors of heavy industry. Now, there are some regulations and policies that affect the industry. And I will start with, the first one is I'll start. I'm not
Okay,
in no
3 p.m. is
particular
fine.
order.
That's fine.
Presidential or executive order number 5,
No problem.
which more or less, sorry, Mr. Noshile, we can hear you. Please mute. Presidential or executive order number 5, which now makes consultancy services exclusive for indigenous professionals. However, it says where the capacity does not exist, we could look outside, but the Nigerian professional would lead the service provision vehicle. Now, I think this is one area where we should do everything we can to exploit to the maximum the benefits of this executive order. Second, I will talk about the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. This Act of 2005 also creates the groundwork for concessioning of infrastructure. Unfortunately, there is one small area of concern for me, and it is the fact that the commission will only attend to matters that are brought to it by MDAs, that is ministries, departments, or agencies. It means I, as an individual, I cannot identify a gap that I can fill through delivering a product, and then on the basis of business case, approach the regulatory commission. So I think that has to be looked into, because there are some initiatives that can be purely private initiatives that address needs of the citizens. Then I will pick on just one regulation by the Lagos State government. There are several, but this particular one, because I think it has potential that can be exploited right away. It creates potential, and that is the Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission. And one of its roles is to facilitate the performance of PPP projects in water supply to Lagos State. And I think Lagos is ripe for private municipal infrastructure, especially in the area of water. And it doesn't have to be statewide, because one can obtain a license to serve a region or a community or a neighborhood within the state. Water is a major issue. The template exists. The delivery of water to the doorstep is a wholly construction and engineering industry activity, and we might as well build and operate it as a business. And I believe there is a lot of room there. Now, there is room in a number of other areas, but there is also very important. The industry itself has to reform and transform itself to become more efficient. Efficiency is being built by the day through the outsourcing, which is now becoming a significant part of how we operate. And as Engineer Natata has said, the procuring agencies at government level have to understand now that it is not an array of equipment listed in my resume that is required, but my capacity to arrange and organize. Now, the construction industry is moving towards companies being management contracting, where everything is planned, schemed, and scheduled, and construction is done on a JIT basis, just in time delivery basis. This will significantly reduce costs because we don't have to lay out so much capital on acquiring equipment. We don't have to have unnecessarily idle equipment. Those who provide the logistics and support services will now be separate businesses who will have full orders. Equipment will now be optimally used. The contracting companies will have less hidden costs. And at the end of the day, the project owners and the public become the major beneficiary of this more lean construction process. Again, we need to have a mindset change. The industry needs a mindset change. And we should not deceive ourselves. We are very conservative by nature, although we are creative people and we always work on solutions, but we're very conservative by nature, and it's the nature of the industry because safety plays a paramount role and it tends to make us highly conservative people. Now, how do we handle this? Is that we have to look at the fact that digital technologies have transformed and changed how so many other industries operate, from manufacturing to finance
Architect, sir,
services to transportation. Yes, sir.
Architect, sir, you may need to start rounding off, sir.
In fact, I'm just at the point of rounding up. My point of rounding up is that the industry, to be able to exploit opportunities maximally, also has to rejig, has to rethink, has to do a big shift in how it operates to more efficient operating model and exploits to the fullest the benefits that digital exponential technologies offer us throughout the entire life cycle of delivering projects. That is from conception through construction to operation and maintenance. And when we have a much more collaborative, lean, efficient model, we will be able to exploit maximally the opportunities that exist and will continue to exist for quite a long time in the Nigerian space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Architect Olusegun Ladega. That has been a wonderful, wonderful presentation. Thanks for your intervention, sir. At this point, I would like to quickly welcome the Deputy Chairman of the Construction and Engineering Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in the person of Engineer Aminu, to please do a very brief introduction, proper introduction now of the CVs of our panelists, after which the chairman, who will be the moderator of the panel discussion and Q&A, will take over from Engineer Aminu. So, but now, Engineer Aminu, over to you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Shegun, and very warm good morning to our panelists. The president of the chamber, being represented by Engineer Kupolui, the chairman of our group, and everybody here present. It's indeed my pleasure to get this across to our audience, because it is good that they know, they have a feel of our panelists. They have a feel of what they are made of. And we are very proud to have them. I will quickly introduce, because of time, the first speaker is Engineer Nasir A. Dantata. Engineer Dantata has BSc in Civil Engineering from Northeastern University, Boston, Massachusetts. He equally has MSc in Construction Management. As well as a member of NSC. It's equally my pleasure to let us know that he has a lot of academic excellence to his name. Among SEA's Big Conduct Award, he's glad to know that he's on the Dean.
Hello, I guess Engineer Aminu, Engineer Aminu, are you there? I think there is a technical itch there. Could you please unmute yourself, Engineer Aminu?
Okay, yes, I'm back.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, he was a graduate research assistant in the same university. He's currently the ED of Business Development and Project Operation in Dantata and Sawe Construction Company Nigeria Limited. He serves on the board of SunTrust Bank, Dantata Solar, and Dantata Town Development Limited. Engineer Nasser was the president of Northeastern African Students Organization. He was equally a member of Industry Students Forum. He is presently the president of Federation of Construction Industry. And I'm glad to say that he's humble and he is very approachable. Thank you very much. That's briefly on Engineer Dantata. I'll move to Mr. QS Obafemi Oluwole Onoshile. Quite interestingly, so much of professional qualification to read in here. MPM, fellow NIQS, fellow RICS, PPNIQS. Quite interesting. Engineer Onoshile finished from University of Ife with BSc in quantity surveying and project management in University of Lagos, Akoka. He's a fellow of Nigeria Quantity Surveyor, fellow of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor, United Kingdom, associate member of the Chartered Institute of Building Services Engineer, fellow of the Quantity Surveyor Institute of UK. He had a brief stint in Tilliard and Partner in Kaduna and Group Q Associates. Engineer Onoshile is currently the managing partner of Console Associates. And he was the president of Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyor between 2017 and 2019. He was equally the vice president, Africa Association of QS. He actually served for 2 terms between 2011 and 2017. He's currently the president of President African Association of QS. And it's our honor to have him here. Afternoon. Of course, just as we have in his resume, Engineer Ladiga is known industry-wide. Engineer Olusegun Paul Adetokunbo Ladiga is a fellow of Nigeria Institute of Architects. He's currently the managing director and CEO of Interstate Architects Limited. The chairman, Stable Shelters and Development Company Limited. I'm sure at the end of this webinar, we'll be sure of getting shelter-ish at the end of it all, courtesy of Architect Ladiga. He's been a chartered and registered architect for 40 years. He's been into consultancy practices. That's consultancy practice, architectural design, construction contract administration, project management, facility management, arbitration, and dispute resolution. Wow, it has an intimidating portfolio in here, and just as the others have, he was the architect on the CBN head office building in Abuja, African Export Bank building, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company Limited HQ in Benin, the rebuilding of CBN of Nigeria, Lagos, the Civic Tower, African Development Bank, Zenith Bank in Ghana. Wow. So much to read about him. Is the president of the Association of Consulting Architects of Nigeria. He was between 2003 and 2007. A Nigerian treasurer, NIA, between 1993 and 95. Member of Board of Trustee, Guild of Adjudicator, and equally served on NIA Board of Education. He served in many other places, and to save our time, I will just leave it at that. I won't leave the scene without telling us too that Mr. Onochile has very good and big projects to his honor as well. If I want to go ahead to read all those projects, 12-story building, 15-story building, 20-story building, you know, a whole lot more, you know, they have it in their honor. So it's indeed a great pleasure and honor to introduce them, to have them around us. And we are hoping, it is our hope, that at the end of this exercise is going to transform into better balance sheet for our members, because we have brought them now face to face with our members. So we'll be glad to have that done. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Mr. Shegun. Hello.
Okay, I can take over from there if Shegun's now. Once again, I want to thank our panelists. We had to run through those profiles again, just to enable our participants, invitees, to know the kind of people they're talking to, and to be able to ask diverse questions. I'm sure a lot of them have been frustrated on projects, even as you can see from the short reports of simple analysis of things. And it's also obvious they've seen so many opportunities that were not happening to. So we thank you very much. I thank my able Oga, Mr. Leye Kupolui, for still hanging in there with us. Also vast experience. So from those people, I'm sure, in fact, you have given all the Dantata, Nasiru, the kind of answers they have given already. I've started doing business already, new areas without moving. So we'll throw the question and answer session open for people. I've had PPP here. That's an idea. In fact, I'll talk to Onochile. We've heard about doing water works. Those are things out. We've heard about training, manpower, opportunities. But let's hear it from people. So if there are any questions you have, please raise your hand up in the chat room or type it, and then while we go. But I can quickly take, there are 3 questions there while we wait for others, if there are any. From Solomon Ajayi, he said, how can we set boundaries between the cost, time, quality, and sustainability performance criteria in sustainable construction projects? How can we set boundaries between the cost, time, quality, sustainability performance criteria in sustainable construction projects? I think which of the panelists would like to take it? It looks like a difficult one.
Well, I wouldn't mind taking it.
Okay.
Yes, it is a major issue. In fact, yesterday, I was in a very extensive discussion with a group, a webinar like this, and the group traversed across 3 continents, Africa, Europe, and the US. And the issue of sustainability was heavily discussed. For one, construction industry consumes about 50% of the raw materials extracted from the surface of the earth on an annual basis. So it's an industry that uses a lot of raw materials. 2, the process of converting these raw materials into final products that are incorporated into a building consumes a lot of energy and is heavy carbon generating. Then thirdly, the issue of balancing economics vis-a-vis making a building so-called, and I'll use the word so-called, green and sustainable, is always, it's a juggling act. Because when we come down to the real brass tacks, unless you are working with base materials, your building is hardly sustainable because the manufactured inputs have had an impact on the environment. So the whole process of counting and auditing and reckoning sustainability is in itself a bit skewed in a way or manner that it never really fully accounts for the amount of carbon that any particular project generates. In our part of the world, it's even worse, where we have heavy level of importation. It means there's so much embedded carbon. Now, but let me come to the issue that he has raised. For now, the issue is this sustainable building and building rating processes would put an initial higher cost on your project for now. Ultimately, there will be the benefits. So it's always a question of balance. You have a building that is very energy efficient in its design and is being constructed to be highly energy efficient. It's constructed to be highly resource consumption efficient. It will cost you a bit more when you build, but over time, your running cost will be significantly lower if you build purely traditional. And this is where we need to engage with the employers to understand that you spend more now for long-term benefits, or you go traditional and your running cost is significantly higher. So this is how you strike the balance. It's always will require a conversation with the person who is dipping the hand in the purse. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Or any other addition? Or I take the next question. Okay.
I can add a little to that.
All right.
In the sense that sustainability in construction projects is a gradual process. Having sustainable projects, it's not something you arrive at just from one point to the other immediately. It's a gradual process whereby bit by bit, we're imbibing sustainability in the construction. We're talking about LEED building. Right now, priority is for minimal usage of power, how you can eliminate power in your design. Then we move on to conservation of water and water use. So it's a gradual process. And I believe our architects, just like architect Larigan said, we're gradually going into in-depth of sustainable construction projects in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll take the second question. It's from Solomon Adediji. He said, how convenient and easy is it to get into business of construction with less ambiguity or without constraints to assessing permits for operation, mostly for new entrants? I think it's been answered. Engineer, Nasiru Dantata, maybe you can take that for us. How convenient is it easy to get into construction business? So let me, please, you can do justice to that.
Yeah, I think it's quite, in fact, Nigeria is too easy to get into construction. Many people are already in construction, whether they are registered or unregistered. It is, in fact, a problem that people get into construction without properly evaluating, registering, number one, and also taking on specific permits where in terms of the jobs that they are allowed to undertake based on their experience. For engineering professionals, QS and so on, there are professional bodies to get registered. That will be an important step. And for any engineering company to be registered, there ought to be on the board an engineering professional. So for those that are not engineering professionals, they need to get someone that has the correct qualifications on the board of the company. Once one is registered with CAC, of course, there are different classifications for it. You can then, based on your own capacity, seek the type of jobs that you'll be able to undertake. What I would like to see in Nigeria is the enforcement of engineering practice, especially construction, to be executed by those that are rightfully registered, so that we will be able to trace whenever there is an issue, and especially also to be able to avoid having to deal with issues, and also to set a standard so that anywhere there is a building, minimum, the building should be safe for anyone to occupy it. Or if there is any engineering product, it should be safe for those that are using it and also for the community. The look of it, the color of it, this is all secondary, but at least let it be safe and let it function the way it's supposed to function. If you have a mosque or a church, there should be necessary exits and so on, ventilation. These things need to be enforced so that at least Nigerians will be safe in the hands of engineering practitioners. It's very easy to get into engineering, but to do it properly, one should read and check what is necessary and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good answer. So, but well, just for an addition to that, really and really, the engineering profession in Nigeria or built environment profession is the most encroached. People just working, whether it's supply, whether it's, everybody is a contractor. And the simple rules that has been said, like just having a professional colleague on board is hardly obeyed. So it's all our duties. I think, well, if we're in this industry, I want it to grow. If we can try and enforce this or make the law work more, we'll all be better for it. Thank you very much, sir. The next question. Okay, from Abdul Ganiu Seami, I think I've seen that name. He said, as a result of the economic condition of the country and low consumption power of the populace, people tend to go for anything to accommodate their budget. What can operators in the industry do to overcome the problems of low quality imported materials competing with high quality products. Okay, it's been answered, but let's see. Maybe for emphasis, who wants to take on that again? I think Architect Ladiga.
Thank you very much. What I would say is that it's important that we have a regulatory framework. The regulations exist, standards and codes exist. We as industry practitioners now have to advocate for the enforcement of standards. Now, let me cast our minds back to sometime in the early 1990s. We had a DG of the then Standards Organization of Nigeria who went to war against those who were importing poor quality cables into the country because of the sheer number of electrical fires that we had. Because of that forceful sanitization of that sector of the material supply chain, today in Nigeria, everyone is insisting I want made in Nigeria wires in my house.
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah. The fact is that virtually every input into the construction process has codes and standards of compliance. We also have the benefits of now having a national building code. It may have some small issues about it, and we may have issues with the fact that we don't have the domestication in quite a number of states, but that code empowers the enforcement of standards, and that will require that imported materials must be verified to conform to the standards in our codes. We're not saying you can't import, but whatever you import must comply with our codes. It must meet the minimum standards. This is how it's done all over the world. If anything does not have an EC mark, it cannot be used, it cannot enter any European markets. Now, in Nigeria, we have what is called SONCAP. If every single product that enters our market is subjected to the verification process of getting a SONCAP, all this rubbish on our streets will disappear in no time. So really, all of us practitioners in the industry have to join the campaign for the enforcement of standards. SONCAP must work. National building code standards must be adhered to. The regulatory agencies, the statutory inspection bodies, the development control agencies, at all levels, we must all work together to purge this market of inferior quality materials in the interest of our economy, in the interest of the safety of our people, and the interest of the reputation of our industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Very well
I'd like
answered.
to add a bit to that, please.
All right, please do.
I have gone through the building codes. Unfortunately, the Nigerian building code as it is a code which is just like suggestion as to what is proper, what is good for the industry, what you can say is first class, but there's no enablement of the law. And when there's a law, so it's not really a law, it's a code, but when it's a law, when it's an act passed by the House of Parliament, then it becomes something that the courts must enforce. Unfortunately, as a code, it's when there are issues, we use the code to base what has been done, to say whether what has been done is first class or not first class. It's a benchmarking, but not a law. We need to have this enacted. I went through the US code. In the US code, apart from making it an act, a law, in propagating that act, if you read it, they also have the enforcement unit. So there's an enforcement unit set up. Just like if you go to Lagos State now, this we have this for area boys, this enforcement unit for area boys, that Lagos State has, that if you jaywalk on the road or you're selling anything on the road, there's this enforcement unit in Lagos State that can pick you up with your wares and take you straight and do immediate court martialing for you or something like that. We need something. That's what obtains in US in this code. I went through that code, this quality construction code, quality construction. It has an enforcement unit given by law, and they operate. So they operate like, in quote, quasi FBI. They investigate, they can invade an industry, and then with the evidences they have, they lock you up and then take you to court for prosecution. But we don't have that in Nigeria, that level of enforcement in Nigeria yet. If we want progress, we need to update our laws and include some of these things there. We've done very well, but the enforcement is the issue. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onoshile. I think, well, you've given us something to advocate on. We'll take this up at council meeting. How can we turn the building code to an act backed by the law? Let me also say, I've noticed something on, I'll just say as a matter of passing, Lagos State, Dr. Ladiga has spoken about the water situation municipal. We'll try and take that up to as a chairman and see with Lagos State advocates for it. On the infrastructure, on regulatory, on water, on those things that can become private sector driven, commercial driven. My president, vice president, or the president is hearing us. So he knows, I think one of the things we'll push for. Thank you very much, sir. Let's see another question. We still have time for 2 or 3. Great. Our panelists are from Nuruddin Musa. It says our panelists are experienced professionals. What platforms are they using to mentor younger ones and protecting their career interests? This is very important to our continuous improvement. You're very right. I think I discussed your shit. So, again, Dr. Ladiga seems to be passionate, like an activist, and all. So what's the way forward, sir?
Well, very simple. For example, I have quite a few mentees who interact with me through my LinkedIn page. In addition to the fact that I'm actively involved with the Board of Education of my institute, and I'm also actively involved in yet another non-governmental body that mentors young people in all kinds of fields. The fact is that there are formal and informal mentorship programs. And I think the first thing that anyone has to do, you study in a profession, get involved instantly, you qualify with your professional body. You study quantity surveying, even before you are registered, please start attending the state chapter of the Nigeria Institute of Quantity Surveyors. You are an engineer, there's an NSC chapter around your corner. There is an Institute of Structural Engineers chapter around the corner from you. You are an architect, they are all over the place. These bodies, the professional associations, and especially at the state chapter level, are very, very much involved in training, monitoring, mentoring, and they provide a networking platform for new entrants and even aspirants into the profession. Because the professional bodies also admit student members. So the fact is that you cannot be far away from a professional body if you want to be mentored and get involved at grassroots level, which is at the state chapter level, beyond the fact that some of us are available online and in other areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me ask Engineer Dantata.
Very well, Architect Ladiga. You're also involved, even at the grassroots, the Boys Brigade. You mentioned them, you are the president. So even at primary school level, Acteladica is mentoring. And likewise, myself, we're passionate about mentoring the younger ones through different platforms, even teaching professional courses and what have you, and also overseeing candidates doing professional qualification exams, guiding them in many ways. Yeah, Fumi.
Thank you very much. I wanted Nasir Dantata to answer that. As an organization,
yes,
okay, fine. Because now
Go
we
ahead.
have FOSI, I know Dantata,
Yes.
Sawoya, I know. As an organization, is there an avenue for mentorship? Big one. If you are not doing it, how can we go about it? Over to you, sir.
In Dantata and Sao, we have a program for especially engineering and technical students from universities. We take quite a number of IT students, as well as NYSC personnel. We have of recent tied up with NECA and ITF to train 70 young Nigerians, boys and girls, in areas of welding, machining, painting, mainly mechanical workshop. This was conducted in Kano. It was done successfully, and we have just signed on to do another round of 70 personnel. From the first 70, Dantata and Sao as a company has employed 10 already. And I am sure the rest will not find it any difficult to find employment. Through the NYSC program also, we have employed quite a number of personnel. Some are still with us, maybe after 15, 20 years. Some have gone to open up their own companies and they are doing very well. Some have joined other companies. Many times when I visit a site of a friend or a colleague, I'll be approached by someone who will say, oh, I did my IT in Dantata, or I served in Dantata, or here and there. And it always gives me pleasure to see that one has moved on. In terms of FOSI, we are sponsoring 10 engineering university students. We have just graduated the first set, and due to COVID, we are not able to recruit the next 10, but I believe that the Secretariat in FOSI is working towards onboarding the next set, and normally we take from level 200. We use the result of the first year as one of the guidelines to recruit, and also we try to find them IT and job opportunities within our members. With our training center in FOSI, I'm sure we will be able to also do more. So I believe that many engineering professionals, individually and collectively in Nigeria, are doing their own best. It is always up to the mentee to now push, and I'm sure you will get someone who is interested in your success free of charge.
Thank you very much. So it's good to know that the corporate bodies are doing their best as well. Let me see. We can still take 2 or 3 more questions. Okay, maybe let me take this. From Oluwa Fesayo, I can't see the last name well. He said, what measures can be taken to give the engineering profession a required dignity? Because so many artisans who have practiced for long compete even when the technicality is lacking in them. So who wants to take that on? Technicians claiming to be engineers, claiming to be architects, draftsmen say they're architects. Is it a challenge? What can we do about it?
If I may start.
Yes, you can.
Chairman.
Please go ahead. Yes,
okay.
sir.
There has been, we just discussed the issue of enforcement of regulations and who should practice engineering. Actually, Koren has just been empowered by the revision of the Act to prosecute any erring engineering practitioner. The president of Koren, Engineer Rabiu, has been going around different states to institute and localize the team of inspectors, which includes police officers, customs officers in terms of practice of foreigners, and so on and so forth, and also government representation. So I believe, like we just mentioned, the laws are there, the enforcement is there. People need to start seeing those that are erring the law being punished. It's just like the case of COVID. Unless people see others getting sick, many tend to not believe it, even though it is a reality and is killing a lot of people. So the same thing in Nigeria, the practice of engineering by non-certified personnel needs to be properly assessed and punished. And perhaps for us in the industry, it starts with us. In FOSI, for example, we have minimum wage for our workers, so we are able to attract the trained personnel and so on. If one is looking for cheap labor, cheap plumber, electrician, and so on, you will find, but definitely they may not be trained and they may not be certified to do the right job. So until people see others getting punished, and also neighbors looking out to each other, if you see something wrong, you should be able to call out on it. Then these things will not stop unless the people are being punished for doing wrong.
Thank you very much. So that it's all inclusive, all men. Let me ask, I have two questions. I know there are two hands up. I can see my deputy chairman's hand and Bill Dalana. Please give us just 5 minutes extra. But I have two questions here that are interesting. So for gender balance, I will take the first question. It's from Doris Mbadiwe. It said, what can be done to encourage more women to participate at all levels of construction, as construction entrepreneurs, professionals, and artisans? Okay, so what can be done? Then I'll come back to that. I'd like to talk about that.
If I can come in there.
Yes.
What can be done to encourage women, especially in my profession, quantity surveying? It's an aspect of engineering, but with a lot of time, a lot of specialization, even within quantity surveying, in terms of contract administration or in terms of financial management. With these, you tend to sit a lot in the office, different from going to site to oversee construction. So I believe our profession is quite inviting to women to join the industry. So we're having a number of women becoming quantity surveyors, and we have a dedicated subsidiary of our institute to look after their affairs. We call it WAXIN, Women Association of Quantity Surveyors of Nigeria. And in there, they have different grades of membership and executive, and to aspire to be president of that subsidiary. And we've had a lady as president of the entire institute before, QS Mercy Yotia. So QS helps to develop women and is an attractive arm of the industry, and we want more women in quantity surveying. Now, be that as it may, also entrepreneurship, it's also something that that is quite germane to my heart. I like to see many of younger ones becoming entrepreneurs, business owners themselves. So it's a question of mentoring them more on entrepreneurship, on the need to develop yourself, and the even need to appreciate what entrepreneurship is all about, because it's a mindset. You must have that mindset to become an entrepreneur and then work towards that. So it's something my institute and I myself, I'm so particular about entrepreneurship. We want to encourage the younger ones. So avenues to develop young ones on entrepreneurship. If I'm invited, I make sure I attend and I speak to encourage the younger ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, I'll also say this. Most women just are not bringing themselves forward, but which is not in their best interest. And in the situation the world is striving for gender balance. I'm sure if I run through this list, I probably won't find 10. So for the women, it's for the women to encourage themselves also. And more often than not, once you show up, most likely there is a space for you. And once you do it well, other women can come. So my encouragement to Doris, the colleagues, the younger ones coming up is show up. Even if there are 10 men, the one woman there will have a space. And that way, the women can do better. Well, women are supposed to be better entrepreneurs, having been able to manage fathers, manage the house and all that. But then maybe in the past, they were relegated to do it from the back, not really showing that they're doing it. All I said, you can come forward. And finally, the last one, there's one more question I'll take here, and then we ask this one. What's that question? Okay, it's from Prakash of Primlax Industry. Honorable panelists, my submission at this forum is that there is presidential order for compliance of local content in construction industry to patronize made in Nigeria products. Would appreciate if someone from you enlightens me so that construction industry and manufacturers go together. Thanks, regard. But I'll just answer that because of our time. The example has been given of electrical cables, and I think it was during Dora Akinyuli's time. Today, Nigeria exports a lot of cables.
For me, you are out.
Buying the local are just standard and all. You also find out a few companies that make standard. Ma, I didn't get this. So I said, Nigeria now is a major manufacturer of cables, and we do exports. They hardly buy imported cable. Nobody buys imported cable. The people go and say, we want Nigerian cable. We also find out, suddenly again, there's a scarcity of cement. But we all know today, from Engineer Ladega to QS or Noshile to Dantata, we also find out there's a shortage of cement, though it looks capital intensive. There's a question there that I don't know answer, but it's a sachet mentality. Sachet, what did you use it? We have to go to the sachet mentality or sachet, whatever you have.
Well, sachet economy solution. The sachet solution, sachet economy.
Sachet economy solution. Thank you very much, sir. It's a way to go. Because everything we've spoken about today, from the first presentation about you don't have to own everything. Somebody does your asphalt. Somebody brings in equipment. You just coordinate. So we're turning them to little bits. If we can pass it on to the federal government to institute as a law, fine. But like I wanted to say, you find there are suddenly so many quarries between Lagos and Ibadan axis. 5 years ago, it didn't used to be like that. So little industries, creating employment all about. And we still have a long way to go if it's based on the data and statistics we have had today. 7th largest country in the world from Nigeria in the next 50 years. There's a major heavy population boom, and we have to meet. God will help us. We have all it takes. So, last question. Okay, from my able deputy chairman, you have a question. I've seen your hand up, not type. Yes, sir. You still have a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's a challenge. I want to challenge our panelists. It's a challenge, and I hope they will work along with us at solving the riddle. We have listened to them very carefully, and I must acknowledge that we have had indeed very good depth. We have had indeed very good depth in their delivery. And it's my opinion that we domesticate this discussion to our chamber. Again, we reduce it to improving the balance sheet of our members. Like we all know, in the chamber, we have the small, medium, and big sizes companies. These companies, of course, they are classified along the resources that they have, the finance within their disposal, the experience that they have gotten. Then there is the big C. That's the connection that is available to each company. This big C play a lot of role in how far each company will go. Of course, I know different companies pass through different routes, but Nigeria is a country where connection has made and marred a lot of people. Engineer Nasir Tata represents a very big construction company, and Architect Ladega and Mr. Onoshile represent very big consultants within the industry. But again, in our chamber, we have a lot of small companies and we have a lot of medium-sized companies. The honest truth is that they are not doing much. That's the honest truth. And one of those advantages, I remember in those days when we have a members' evening, we usually have opportunity to meet the big players in the industry, exchange cards, follow them up. In some instances, it results to business for us. With this Zoom, it separated us from the big players, but we should not be completely separated. Rather, we should find a way to bridge the gap. And my challenge to the big players is, how do you help our members, the small size, the medium sizes companies? How do you help them? How can they have access to you? How can they be given a fair hearing? How can they be tried? Because when you give somebody an opportunity, that's when he can only prove himself to you. Like our referred architect has said, the mindset has to change from how big your equipments are to how good you are at putting things together to work. If this mindset is going to change, I'm going to appeal to all our panelists, including Engineer Nasir. We want you to assist our members. And the only way to assist them is for them to have access. Of course, you have your process of assessing people's, having an access, giving them, an opportunity so that the whole of the discussion we have done today is going to have its positive effect on the balance sheet of our small and medium-sized companies. The big ones, of course, they are having the facts.
Right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Why I don't think they need to answer. But if I go back to the last webinar, or does anybody want to answer? I think when you're looking for something, you go and look for it.
Maybe you allow them to comment, sir. Maybe you allow them.
Okay. Somebody has Okay.
Yeah,
I can comment quickly,
Okay, let me hear your comments.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
didn't want to box you, but fine. Let me hear your comments.
circle of friends that enjoy it. But we have our members who want to enjoy it too, Mr. Onoshile. Over to you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Engineer Nasir wants to answer, and that will be the last
Yeah,
question.
I can briefly respond.
Okay.
On the side of FOSI, we have actually different categories of membership, also with different commitments. So even small players can actually register, and they will have all the access to all other members. As it has been mentioned, we are approachable. On the side of gender also, our DG Director General that runs our secretariat is a highly qualified female engineer. Like Chairman said, when you show up, you will be responded to. Many small players mingle with the big ones, and we rely on many of them also to do our own business. Once you show your capacity, you show your drive and willingness to participate, I am sure, because it's much easier for us also to let go some of these jobs or aspects of a job once proved to be honest and doing the quality that is required. It is unfortunate that in such a webinar, you don't get to exchange cards and so on, but I believe LCCI may at a later time maybe send us some of the pending questions. We can respond and they can be sent to emails and so on. Also, our email addresses especially can be shared. If anyone is in Abuja, you can just Google Federation of Construction Industry or Dantata and Sao. Will be there to attend to you. We are quite open to anyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You wanted me, let me just say one or two sentences. You wanted me to talk. To be a leader and to be a leader, you must be conversant with marketing. And part of marketing strategies is ensuring you put the right peg in the right hole. So if you have a small company, it's not all the time big companies are given the opportunities to do the job. It might be more profitable, more prudent or economical to use a smaller company. So sometimes I'm in a situation where some projects are rather small for us, and I recommend some of my colleagues who have smaller practices, use this practice for this project. If you use it, it's going to be too cumbersome for us, and it's going to be expensive for you. So there's no problem in sharing, in doing things like that. And also, even in construction company, if we are talking about a tender, when I review tenders, and for instance, there was a time I saw somebody who's a young firm doing 200, 300 million project. Now, same client having 1 billion naira project, and they were talking about expatriate. And I said, that small company owned by an architect who did 400 million naira job, are you saying he can't do 1 billion? Please. And when he has tender, and his tender is the lowest, please go ahead and give it to him. So, I mean, we will always ensure that fairness is given to all, and that, mark you, we must grow Nigeria. And part of growing Nigeria is growing the younger ones and the younger firms, because they're the future. You won't be there forever. Thank you.
Any comments?
Okay. I thought the other two panelists have answered the question very well. Yeah. First thing first. Every profession has its own channel for growing its people. We also our doors are open to everyone. I'm sure that quite a number of the people on the panel here will see they have easy access to someone like me. I'm always available. I'm everywhere. I'm a man of the people. I'm not one of those who go about sequestered from members of the public, because there's a lot I do that puts me in the public eye beyond my profession. So it means I am open and available. But I would also like to say that, yes, there are issues on the one hand. You see, we always must note the nature of the industry is a bit conservative in being risk averse, where we tend towards safety and caution.
Yes, sir.
And there is a limit of how much risk you can take. at any point in time. And a person, and I will tell you something, please, I'm not preaching, but there's a simple biblical principle that says, if you have not been faithful in a small thing, how then can you be given a big thing? And as Femi Onoshile has mentioned earlier, the case of a firm, small firm that has proven themselves on a project of a certain size, you cannot say, look, this skill, experience, and know-how is transferable and can easily upscale to handle this. So it means whether we like it or not, small, you have to start from the base, you have to prove yourself, and then the door is open for you. Someone in the comment section here put a very interesting comment, which I have copied. And the person says, if no space at the so-called table, bring your own seat and establish yourself. I copied it from the chat because I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I hope that by amplifying that comment, we all get to realize that the fact is you have to prove your capability. And it may have to start with doing something small very well. Then that opens the door. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give our panelists a clap offering. You can clap in your chat box. Amazing, amazing, beautiful experience. Thoughtful one, you know? I don't know what to say. Well, I'll have to, so that it's not chairman alone talking. I'll call on QS Soji Adeniji to give us the vote of thanks. But as the chairman of this group, I want to say thank you. I want to say you have opened my eyes to a lot. You have also given us something to advocate for. You have given me as a person that there is hope for the nation. You have given us something to work on, to create the next level for the chamber or for construction industry. We'll definitely get back to all of you because there are most of us engineers there, but we have QS, we have an architect. So our findings, our advocacy, we'll send to each of you, and maybe you can help us with the institute. Let's make the built community a better one, a more profitable one, a more sustainable one. God bless you all. Thank you.
Any closing remark from us? Can I say my closing remark if you don't mind?
Please, forgive me. Closing remark from you then, Soji Adeniji. I'll appreciate that. True. Okay.
My closing remark
from everybody. Yes.
My closing remark, please. I'm happy to be here, and I want the Lagos Chamber of Commerce to lead other chambers of commerce to work together with the construction industry in helping our government. We must work together to help the economy. We should not shy away. Good governance against devaluation of the naira. No matter how you work and work, and your economy is being devalued, the power of your naira is being devalued. We need to talk actively. We need to shout out actively against this and work against this. You have a loud voice, Chamber of Commerce. Devaluation of naira, we should not allow to happen at will anymore. It kills industry. 2, paying contractors, payment, assurance of payment of for construction per se, because the payments we're talking in construction, if FOSI would talk to you, they will tell you that contractors are being owed trillions. If these monies are paid, they will be in our economy and the economy will rise. So we need this payment assurance law. Yeah. So we must push together, the industry and the Chamber of Commerce. Let there be assurance of payment in the construction industry. If a contractor works, let him get his money. This will reduce corruption tendency. It is when you're not assured of your money, you start bribing somebody, help me with my payment. But once there are rules and regulations and that you are paid, it will curb corruption. Lastly, establishment, make it part of your own program too, Chamber of Commerce. Establishment of dedicated construction and engineering high courts. Lawyers, judges, just listening to construction and engineering issues and problems. Not, they are doing that now. Now they are saying they should establish courts. I mean, in fact, we already have it, financial crime high courts. We have. So why not? And we're talking big money, big disputes in construction industry. So let our judges specialize in construction law, and it will help the industry, it will help the economy. Let's push all this together. Thank you very much. Closing remark.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Okay, over to you, Architect Ladiga. Are you there? Or Nasiru, Engineer Nasiru, I think.
Yes. I'm here with you. Sorry.
Right.
My closing remarks are very, very simple. My closing remarks are very, very simple, and they will just be just one additional focus point. And I think it should be an advocacy point that all of us, the entire built environment professions, whether we like it or not, practically everything we do within a contractual framework. We have to bring to bear through strong advocacy, respect for sanctity of contracts, especially because we deal with a lot of, we deal with the public sector quite a lot, and we also deal with the high net worth individuals. And there's a tendency, I'm afraid, that they think that might makes you above the law. And it becomes an issue when, I mean, I face quite a few situations, and also as a member of the Guild of Adjudicators in Nigeria, I've had to sit on a few adjudications. And you simply see is that there is a tendency to think that as long as I'm the one paying, I can dictate the tune irrespective of what the contract says, or I can change the rule of engagements and the rules at any time. Now, it has to be understood that until we have a situation where there's a sanctity of contract, a lot of this so-called investment we are expecting in certain sectors will not flow in. I mentioned some possibilities which you are which you believe should be followed through, and I believe it too. But I have been told that some of the risks that investment faces in Nigeria is called political risk, where someone takes over from another and feels he should rewrite all the rules and rewrite every single contract that his predecessor has been involved in. Whereas the situation is that government is a continuum, and that a contract is a contract. So we have to get to the point where there must be sanctity of contract, where there must be respect for contractual obligations, where contractual obligations are seen as obligations that practically are next to obedience to divine injunction. Because until we elevate this to this level, we will have significant problems. So sanctity of contract is one point that we must advocate seriously on, and let it be joint across the entire industry value chain. Let us push for it. You sign a contract, you must respect your contract. Thank you.
Oh, Engineer Dantata, also.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
In the interest of time, I would like to thank the participants, the organizers, and my fellow panelists. It has been an insightful event for me too. I have also learned enough. I hope we will have another avenue where we can interact, and I hope this will be beneficial to our individual and organizational needs. Thank you very much, and have a good week ahead.
Thank you very, very much, all. Well, closing before I pass on, I actually left construction. Just for information, I left construction business for about 10 years because of sanctity of, because of assurance of payment, and because of respect for sanctity of law. I had debts all over. with clients refusing to pay when you've done the work and just changing the rules. Major clients, good names, from banks to oil companies and all. I just said, you know what? Walk the way. It's a major challenge. Thank you very much, all of you. Hand over to, okay, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you very much, the chairman. Shortly before we move to the vote of thanks, I would like to invite the head of membership, Sheung Oshoni. Sheung, are you there? Okay, Sheung
Yes, I
Oshoni.
am.
Okay, then you have the floor for perhaps 2-3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Shegun. Permit me to stand on existing protocol because of our time. Good afternoon to all the participants and our panelists. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Engineer Banjoko for this opportunity to engage our participants. A lot has been said about what needs to be done in the construction and in the built environment space. So I want to really urge the participants to take away the nuggets that you've learned today and apply it the best way you can. And one of the ways to fully learn and see how you can engage with the nuggets you've learned today is by plugging in and becoming a member of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Because what we do as an institution is to primarily ensure that we create a conducive environment for the organized private sector to thrive. And we do that through our advocacy measures. Some areas of discussion have been mentioned today that they would require the chamber to look into, and we wouldn't get this insight without engaging with professionals in this space. We also have the Lagos International Trade Fair, which comes up and is a perfect opportunity for industry experts to engage, share knowledge, and network with one another. I think that's one of the things that architect Ladeja mentioned, the fact that, that engagement, that partnership, it's important. So being a member of the chamber creates that opportunity. Coming up this week, we have a B2B forum with Nigeria and Rwanda. So for some of you that are not aware, you can check our social media handles and our website to get further information. In terms of the requirements, because I saw a question in the chat box around that what are the requirements for companies to become a member of the chamber? Simple. We would need a copy of your certificate of incorporation. Your company needs to be incorporated. We would need 2 reference letters from your bank, and we would also need proof of payment once you've made payment for the relevant membership category that you've selected. And I'm sure there are some individuals that are saying that, okay, I'm just at my startup phase. You have the opportunity to engage with existing members. So if you can get an existing and active member of the chamber to endorse your form, that automatically qualifies you to become a member. So I've already shared my contact information and the contact information of Ayo, who is the secretary of our construction and engineering group. So please feel free to reach out to us. Our induction ceremony is coming up soon. So the earlier you get to engage, and above all, be active. It's very important to be active. We can assure you that you definitely benefit from the value proposition of the chamber. So thank you once again, sir. Thank you to all the panelists, and thank you all for your time. Over to you, Dr. Shegun.
Thank you very much, Sheung Oshoni. Ms. Sheung Oshoni is the head of membership of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for your time. Now over to the vote of thanks. Mr. Oladejo. Hello, sir.
Soji Adeniji.
Okay, Mr. Soji Adeniji, please pardon me. Mr. Soji Adeniji, are you here? The floor is open for you. I'm not sure Mr. Soji is with us. Okay, he's not here. On behalf of the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the chairman of the Construction and Engineering Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and all our panelists, participants, we want to appreciate everyone for being part of this webinar. It has been an inspiring one. It has been an eye-opening session. And we want to say thank you for coming and God bless you all. And with that, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you all and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Mrs. Olabumi Adejoke. I forgot to recommend of Fosi. God bless you all. Nope. Oh.